Hey everyone, welcome to Super C. My name is Percy Jules, and today I just wanted to do a video about something that I've named the #1 rule for music recording. And with this, I'm especially addressing those of you who are creating and recording music with the help of a computer. And let's face it, that's most of us. And it's actually something that is so obvious that you might wonder why I would make a video about this, but it's true, it's obvious, but it's also very important, and it's something that is also very often overlooked, and people are very negligent about. So I thought I'd make this video just to remind you maybe of something that you should take action on right now if possible. Okay, I'm gonna reveal it to you. The #1 rule for music recording is back up. Back up your work as much as possible, and do it as soon as possible. So back up your work. Now, why should you back up your work? Now, there are basically two kinds of threats. First of all, there is you. You are human, and believe it or not, you are gonna make mistakes. It's inevitable. It's just part of being human. And those mistakes can take the form of you somehow accidentally throwing away one or more of your files, or deleting part of your hard drive, or formatting your hard drive by accident. These things happen. And if that happens, if something like that happens, you want to make sure that you have stored those files also somewhere else, so they're safe. And also, if you're like me, if you create music with a computer like me, the way I do it is I usually start with a basic idea. I record that idea, and from there on I build on that idea. So I add more stuff until finally a finished song emerges. Now, during this process, what happens a lot is that, for instance, you take a song into a certain direction. So you try something, and at one point you might think, well, this is not really what I'm looking for. Let's try something else. So you take that song into a completely different direction, and you might not like that either. So you try something else, and you try something else again until you get it right, so to speak. Now, this is going to be a lot of work if you don't save different versions of your song. So in some cases, it might be a very good idea to, for instance, save a basic version of your song and then try different stuff with it. If you change your mind, you can always go back to that basic version, try something else. If you don't like it, go back. So that might be another reason why you want to make backups. It's going to save you a lot of work. So this is you as a threat for your own work. But of course, there are also a lot of external threats, so to speak. So for instance, and I hope this will never ever happen to any of us, but there could be a fire. There could be a burglary. There could be some water damage. There could be a computer malfunction. I mean, your hard drive could crash and you could lose all your work. And also, and this is actually what inspired me to make this video, what we've been hearing about in the news lately is this very malicious malware of ransomware. Ransomware, so it takes over your computer, it encrypts files on your computer, and they won't be decrypted until you pay some people some money. And even if you pay those people money, you won't know for sure if you get your files back. So these kind of things, malware, ransomware, viruses, these are very dangerous for your work. So you better have some backup. So what is the solution? Now, first of all, that first thing I talked about, so saving different versions of your songs, this is going to save you a lot of work, as I mentioned. So this might be a very smart thing to do in some cases. But if we're going to talk about safety, there are basically two options. The first option, let's call this the conventional option, is what you do. You make copies of your files, you put them onto an external hard drive, and you store that hard drive in a safe place. And I think you should make at least 2 or 3 copies. So if something happens to your computer, you just take one of those hard drives, you copy those files back onto your computer, and you're back where you left off. So that's option #1. But nowadays, And I say nowadays, it's been going on for a while, but nowadays there's also a second option. There are some providers that allow you to store backups of your work online, so in the cloud. Now, there are some pros and cons to this. The pros are pretty obvious. I mean, your work is stored somewhere else than where you are. That means that if there were to be a fire, if there was a burglary or water damage or whatever, you know, your computer might be damaged, but your work is still safe somewhere online, relatively safe. You know, it might be very easy, you know, and you can automate this in many cases, so you don't have to think about it all the time. It's updating automatically, you know, so that makes it very easy. There's also a con to this, and that is, of course, safety. I mean, what we've seen not too long ago with, for instance, iCloud, I think, iCloud was hacked. Now, if even a company as big as Apple can get hacked, you know for sure that whatever you put online is never, ever 100% safe. In my opinion, you know, the risk is statistically very, very small, but that's a decision you have to make yourself. If you think it's safe enough, I think this is a very, very good option. You know, it's stored relatively safe somewhere else. It's very easy. But if you think this is too much of a risk, don't do it. Just take a hard drive, put your work there, and store this in a safe place. So there are different options, and any way you want to do it, make sure you make backups, because I think we've all had at least some experiences with losing files and losing work. I know I have, and I know there is nothing more frustrating than when you're working on a song, or even when you finished working on a song, and due to some kind of malfunctioning hard drive or something, you just lose it all. You know, that can be a very hard one to take. So I know it's very obvious, and I know I'm not telling anything new to anyone, but, you know, see it as a reminder. I cannot stretch this enough. Be smart and make backups, and do it as soon as possible, and do it as often as possible. So that is it for now. If this video would help, even if it's just one person with not losing their work, I would be very, very pleased. Also, I'm very curious about your experiences with losing work. Did you lose work because you were too late making backups? You know, did you lose music or pictures or videos or whatever? Or do you have some tips maybe about how to make backups or where to store them or whatever? You know, let me know. I'm very curious about that. Leave a comment. Also, if you like these kind of videos, make sure to subscribe and like. For now, I just want to thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon.